Staying busy? Yeah. Doing nothing? Oh, yeah, doing what you want to do. I'm seeing you. Just looks like up to me. I think you're the getting your crew there. It's okay. You sit there. I'll sit back here with you.
All right, all, it is 5 o'clock, and I am going to call this meeting to order. And Dan, what do we have on the agenda first?
Yes, sir. First thing is the approval of minutes, regular board meeting, May 14, 2024.
So do I have a motion to approve the minutes from our May 14th meeting?
So moved.
And do I have a second?
Second.
And a second. The second will be Mr. Stoffer. Are there any discussion items by the council?
Not on the meeting, but I do have a request.
Okay. Hold on to that for just a moment. Any other questions about it? All right. I'm going to call for the vote. Mr. Stoffer.
Yes.
Miss Alley.
Yes.
And Mr. Schatzel.
Yes.
And Mr. Schatzel, you had something you wanted to bring up?
Yes. Mr. Dissett, when you speak, can you move the microphone closer to you, please, so that everyone can hear? Thank you.
Let's move down to the action items.
Request approval of the revised design concept for the Old Town Landing portion lying south of Fisher Drive.
So, do I have a motion to approve this design concept?
So moved.
I got a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
And a second by Miss Alley. Now I'll open it up. First of all, Miss Alley, I know you were part of a team. Do you want to address some of this? What do you want to do?
Maybe we should have the company come up and do the
All right.
design.
That's fine.
There's a
So, if you would, David, would you please identify yourself and company for the record?
Dave Hemphill, KG Development.
Is that microphone on?
Yes.
Okay.
Could you move the microphone closer?
Bill Closer. Yeah, Dave Hemphill, KG Development Services. We had a meeting. With me is Jonathan Fish. He's the architect on the project, and David Olson. He's another architect on the project behind me.
All right.
From our meeting with Miss Alley, we had several changes. Number one, the landing is still here, but the boardwalk is gone, completely gone. It's eliminated. Number two, we changed some of the dimensions. We widened the approach ramp, and we added a structure on top of the landing. We also added a pocket beach. This area right here.
That's not in our drawings, correct?
It is.
Yeah, it is. You should have right there. You should have.
Oh, it's in, the drawings, it's not in the pictures.
Correct.
Yeah, it's in the drawings.
And if you've had time to look over Kristen's memo, it outlines what changes we made from the meeting, the design meeting. So I don't know that I need to go through each one of those things. It's in the memo. I think we complied with her memo. But you do have a decision to make tonight. We have on the landing several options for the design, and the essence of it is some of the options give you shade, some of the options give you weather. And that's kind of the discussion we're going to have tonight, and we can zip through those. So this is a site plan. This is a large site plan with dimensions. You have all that in front of you. The only thing that really has changed is the elimination 6 different schemes. And Jonathan, you want to talk about the schemes that you go through?
Before you start talking about that, I have a question.
Yes.
I noticed that in the drawings that, the original, like, sculpture, roof covering is not in any of the selections tonight.
We can do that, and we'll get into that.
Okay, all right.
All right, thank you. I'm Jonathan Fish with St. Marshall Architects. We do have 6 schemes, and you can have more at it. The first one is a pergola with a horizontal trellis, horizontals at the top, and we have 4 views of each. We go around. This can be steel or aluminum. We'll work with a structural engineer to figure that out. This will be the procession for it. This also shows a structure on the 20 by 20 bump out. This allows light to come through, but obviously would allow rain and portions of the sun to come through as well. That's looking back toward the road.
What type of material did you say it was?
Aluminum or steel,
Okay.
and it would be painted with an epoxy paint. If it's aluminum, it would be anodized or a Kynar paint finish.
How is that to the temperature, when the kids are running across on their feet?
It's the best paint finish that you can get. So if you touch this, and we're gonna go with a lighter color, probably white or something that reflects the sun, so it'll be cool to the touch.
So I see this, it's all open. Can you do 1/3 of it where if they're out there, they could get underneath some covering?
Sure.
Just a thought, I'm not saying do it, I'm just wondering out loud. 1/3 of it might be a good idea to have it covered where they have some covering from the weather.
That can definitely be done. And what we'd like for you to do, and Sally even mentioned it, we can add these sculptural components. We can take these other components that you like, things that you like, and combine them into a form that works well.
Well, I just want to make a comment about that. If you completely close off part of it, it makes it more of a wind
Right.
issue.
I thought that was better for hurricanes probably, or bad wind. That's
Correct.
better, yeah.
This at least gives some clearance and not just have a, pick it up and take it off.
I agree.
That's correct. The wind will flow through this a lot easier than a couple of the other schemes that you'll see. And I'll explain those when I get to them about how those would be tied down to counteract wind forces. The next one is a pergola with cut panels. So it has a design cut on the top, and it filters the light. So it's a series of circles and ellipses. And this is also either steel or aluminum. And also, we are showing a structure at the 20 by 20 bump out.
You're on number 2, correct?
That's number 2, that's correct. This is scheme 2. And the difference between this scheme and the first scheme is the horizontals on the first scheme, it's a louver, and on this scheme, it is a cut panel for the roof system. This scheme, scheme 3, is a gable, and we call this a pavilion. This does provide shade. It is a simple gable roof, steel, aluminum, and probably heavy timber. The roof system, and an aluminum or galvanized roof. This will be scheme 4. It is simply the previous scheme, but it's rotated. So it's more of a procession out toward the end of the dock, the pier.
Sir, would you hold your position for a second and catch up on the pages?
Okay.
This is the first time we've seen this document.
Sure, please don't hesitate to interrupt, ask any questions, and I'll slow down many times.
How wide is that?
That is approximately 14 feet wide. We do have the dimensions, if you can read them. 19 feet 6 to the end of the roof on each.
Is what?
19 foot 6. roof pitch and 40 feet long. Scheme 5 is also a pavilion with concrete columns and a gable roof. So this scheme brings up the concrete piles and uses those as the structure for the shade structure. And this has a large span and would have probably large glulam beams and heavy timber to support the roof. But it frees up some of the space below and doesn't cloud it with too many columns. So you can see the span in that view.
So basically, you have the shade, you have the open area there that I was asking about earlier. And then because is that roof, like on homes, you have, each way. This one looks like it would be the opposite of what they suggest on a house.
You're correct. So this is a gable roof. You can also show a hip roof. But you're right, a hip roof in wind forces acts quite a bit better. This would be stainless steel connections on top of the concrete piles and heavy timber. So I'm comfortable with having a gable, but would also work that out with the structural engineer. And if we do find that we have some structural concerns due to wind forces, 155-mile-per-hour winds, we would definitely look at it.
Is this rated 155, or is that what you're saying? or not?
I'm thinking, yes, so we would work with the structural engineer, probably start out at 155.
Yeah, okay.
And that is the procession quarter. And from the end of the
Sir, I have a question on this one. The cross structures that you're using for the framework, what is that made of?
blue lamb, so it would be maritime blue lamb beams. More than likely 6 to 8 inches wide by anywhere from 13 to 17 inches in height. And the structure would be, these structures are 10 feet to the bottom. But blue lamb beams that are rated for maritime use. And we've successfully used those in other projects with stainless steel connections. The last scheme, scheme 6, is concrete columns with a shed roof, just a different form, but it take on the same, similar structure as the previous one.
So that's on an angle is what I think I just saw in the previous picture.
You're correct.
So is the water going to run on people, if,
Yes, it will, unless we put a diverter or a gutter
right,
downspout.
gutter?
Or a gutter, yeah, probably just a gutter and some outlets.
I do like the shade out there just personally, just to have some shade. I mean, if you do a wedding out there, a wedding dress, you better shade those people some. And I did have another thought, how does somebody from the water know that this is a welcoming environment? I mean, you look at it and you go, okay, it's sticking out pretty far, I get that, but is there any way welcome to Niceville, or even in the pictures, as a backdrop, if you have on one side where it's got some enclosure and it says, Niceville with a seal, then people stand in front of it and say, hey, this is where we were on our vacation, we got a picture in front of the Niceville seal. So just some thoughts along those lines. I know we're sort of getting in the weeds with that, but I do want to say, just because if I don't say it now, I probably won't remember it next week.
Well, I think that brings up a good point. Perhaps a threshold, a gateway, an entrance that describes this is Niceville, the landing, Old Town landing.
Yeah, and I'm saying even from the water, it needs to somehow say, you are welcome to bring your boat in here. Because, I mean, I've been on the water and, you're just down the water and you don't, is this a home? Is this? I know it goes further out, but still, how does somebody in a boat know that they're welcome there to stop? And I'm thinking it's something like, welcome to Niceville, And again, just a thought that, and then on the other side, you would have the Niceville seal, where if somebody wanted to pose in front of it, they'd be able to do it. And only on one side, where you'd have 3 other sides open, you know, so that, you know, like right there on this side, if you had, you know, nice fill on there on the inside where they could take pictures in front of it. I know it's a big deal when you travel, it's, you know, and Niceville ought to be a location place where they come here and say, hey, I want to get a picture with Niceville. Just a thought.
You do,
Well, I don't think that we need to get into that tonight.
I know,
because
we're in the weeds.
Yes, and we don't need to be in the weeds tonight. We just need to get a structure and get moving forward so we can get it engineered and get a cost, so we can build it.
What's the elevation on that?
it starts out at 10 feet at the low point and goes up to 16 feet.
Is that on all of them pretty much? 10 feet, 16 feet?
No, they vary depending on the shape. The two first schemes, scheme 1, scheme 2, the pergolas were at 10 feet to the bottom. And as you mentioned, you know, if we want to create that, we could build something up, we could add a cupola or a terraced piece to give it that landmark, that destination, say, hey, there's something there, I see it from the water, I see it from the landing up above, I want to go there. But we would define that, we would speak with proportions and elegant materials and just done so that the detailing is nice and that you know it's a place that you want to be at.
Yeah.
Something
I just want to put that in your mind that I'd want to go down that route when we get there. But I know we've got a goal to set tonight that we need to pick, what, one of the schemes?
Or pieces and parts, as you had mentioned, maybe
Right.
maybe something shaded, maybe a portion of it's not. So if there's elements that you like, of one scheme or another, or elements that you don't like, we can begin to incorporate.
I want one of each.
And commissioners, again, just to be clear, tonight we're just voting on if you like this design, the footprint of the design, and then, you know, if you want to vote on, you know, which type of pavilion top you want, we can certainly do that, but it's the design, the layout and the design of the structure itself is really what we're after, like Ms. Sally said, so we can get these engineers going.
I do have a comment, and I appreciate everything that you've put into this, but I have a question about making this cover very distinctive. And I'm not really happy with any of these. It doesn't give us that flyaway that we were, you know, like the Pensacola Bridge has. I think that that structure there reminds me of a camp, a sports camp. You know, the first pergola would be the one that I like the most, but it still doesn't give us that distinction of what we were talking about before last time, and in the meeting.
You want that gesture, that sculptural component.
I think that would make it stand out more than any of these are doing. I don't know what the rest of the commission feels about it.
We'd love to explore it. With this scheme 2, we thought that perhaps the roof panels that have the laser cut pattern could be reminiscent of, instead of circles and ellipses, perhaps something that is a symbol of Niceville, whether it's a certain leaf or a flower or a mullet. Yes, we did talk about this in the office.
So was there a reason why you didn't bring one that had the more sculpture top that we talked about?
Started off with the 2 pergola designs and thought that the thought of having something weather tight might be the way that we want to go. But that might have been a misunderstanding on my part.
I have a question. As you compare the pergolas design in 1 and 2, you have multiple columns going across, and yet as you go to number 6, which is 4 corner columns. So why could you not do 1 and 2, 1 or 2 pergola with just 4 corner and eliminate the columns in the center?
I think we could explore that. The spans, I think, a long span, we would need something more like a maritime pavilion beam or a significant steel beam to make up that span to eliminate columns. So we would work with the structural engineer to figure that out, but we can combine different components, different materials to make this satisfactory.
Okay, instead of, let's continuing to spin on this, I want to go back to the purpose of this, and that is, are we happy with the design? So, we can figure out the rest of that in terms of that later, but are we happy with this design? That's the real question.
Yes.
And by design, the things that Kristen put in her memo about the pocket beach, the expansion, widening, the main corridor, the boats, the paddleboard and kayak access, et cetera, is our commissioners, do you approve of that design right there?
I'd like to make a motion to accept that design.
I have a motion on the floor, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Donahue. Further discussion by the commission. All right, Mr. Stoffel,
Yes.
Mr. Donahue,
Yes.
Hinkle's a yes. Ms. Alley,
Yes,
and Mr. Schatzel.
Yes.
All right, we have approval on the design. Now, do we need to further discuss the shading and design of that, or is that something that the committee can continue to work on to get that where we need to be?
I would like to beat back up again and maybe discuss it more to bring back to the commission so that we're not like batting this back and forth, if that would be okay. And I know Kristen's not here tonight, you know, to be able to discuss that, but that's what I would like to do.
All right, I have a recommendation. Do I have any dissension from any of the commission on that recommendation? No? No? All right, then let's go ahead and do it that way then. You and Kristen get with K&G and whoever else you need to get with and work on how you want the shading and that covering to be.
Okay.
So, K&G, are you happy with the decision? That you know what you need to do now to engineer it?
Yeah, with this decision, we can go to the permit agencies, get that moving,
Okay,
parallel with the discussion on this.
all right,
And there's one last thing to show you at the very end,
right.
the kayak launch. It's a floating assembly, just to give you an idea of what it looks like, ADA accessible.
It's kind of like the one at Turkey Creek, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, great, appreciate it, thank you guys. So with, and so before everybody walks out, again, we have an approval of the plan, or the design, I should say, and now we'll have some folks get back together and talk about the coverings and how we're gonna go with those, all right? Was there anything else that we need to bring up references?
I have a question. Am I allowed to ask questions in this thing?
Please come forward to the mic, state your name and address for the record.
Sure, my name's Terry Porch. I live at 308 Riley Road, retired Air Force civil engineering kind of guy. So I read the last minutes that were out there on the internet, and what is the exact purpose of this big shaded area out there? Is it just for recreation of all sorts? Is it primarily for weddings? What is it?
So this is part of the plan to revitalize the old downtown area, where we'll have on the land side a kind of village and shopping and recreation, so to speak, concept tied into the landing itself.
Okay, because I'm looking at the gazebo or whatever you want to call that at the end of this pier, and if I'm thinking about weddings, I'm thinking about seating and all that kind of thing. Would it be permanent seating? Would it be temporary seating? Is it ADA compliant? All those kind of questions.
We appreciate it.
Sir, the whole structure is going to be ADA compliant. We have to make it that way.
Okay.
Any seating would be temporary. We would move seats out there for events.
Okay.
But other than that, you know, when an event is not going on, the public can come out and visit. And what we're trying to do is create a space where Nashville residents can come together and do life together,
Okay.
or whatever the event might be.
Okay. And I guess it's already, parking has already been addressed for this?
Parking has been addressed and is continuing to be addressed.
Lee Lewis, right behind you, sir, is going to have it all figured out.
Okay, very good. Very good. Oh, bathrooms. I saw in the last minutes, bathrooms were mentioned on almost every single page. Bathrooms, will they be air conditioned? Will ADA compliant, of course? Bathrooms will be a big issue, won't they?
Yes, indeed.
They're going to be on the uplands portion of this park, sir, or this area.
And when, again, I'm not 100% tell me where the uplands are.
That's the land side I was talking about.
It's on the north side of Bayshore Drive.
Is that up there by where the old front porch was?
Yes, sir, correct.
Yes.
That's where you would have bathrooms?
Yes, sir, correct.
You would
Not
have-
in the front porch, but
No,
that we're talking about on that side.
Okay.
On
so
that side of the road.
Bathrooms up there near where that front porch was.
Yes. sir.
Somewhere up there.
And
Somewhere.
we have this basic pier that's going on, how many hundred yards away?
No?
Not that far?
It's not that far.
No.
So people would be easily able to walk from the upland bathrooms to this fancy pier.
That's the goal.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. All right. Is there any other business, Dan, that we need to address?
Sure, I guess the next meeting is August 13th.
All right, I will go to the commission. Is there anything that you guys need to bring up?
It's August? Because if we do August, and Kathy's gonna get with them, can we do it in a month again? Because.
We can.
Looks like we've got some decisions to make to keep them rolling.
Yeah, that's fine. You know, August is what we were talking about, but, you know, if we're gonna go back now and have some more meetings, and I think that probably our July meeting would be a good time to do that. So once again, we will do it in conjunction with our July council meeting. So that'll figure that to be, what is that date? The 9th at 5 PM. Anything else? Done? Okay. By the way, I have one for you, whoever's taking the notes. In reference to the approval of minutes, for those of us who were here at that time, Hinkle was a yes too, if you didn't capture that. Okay. If there's nothing else, does anybody have any issues they want to bring forth on the reference to what we're discussing tonight? Please come forward, state your name and address for the record.
Christopher Saul, 1405 Clary Stage Lane. Kind of indirectly related to this, I know that they've been doing a lot of changes over here at the, where the 128 Bistro used to be. I didn't know if you guys had worked any of those buildings on the north side of 20 into the CRA plan, or if that's even something that could be considered. But just out of my own curiosity, I wanted to know.
Well, there's some new businesses going in there. They happen to be within the CRA district, but there's, one doesn't relate to the other.
But would that be something that y'all would be amenable to working with to extend the?
We already are.
I think so.
All right. Anybody else? If not, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
And do I have a second?
Second.
All right. And all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Like sign. All right, consider this meeting adjourned.